Greetings, Willow here. Today we're going to talk about tarot. I want to do a series on helping others learn how to use tarot as a divination tool. So the first thing I wanted to address is the history of tarot, because a lot of people ask me, well, where did it originate? Now, we have different theories on this. Some people say it goes all the way back to Egyptian times. Other people say it just goes into the Dark Ages. We just don't know exactly. It does come up in history when I start looking for it as the first deck being called the Triumph playing card game. That was anywhere between 1440 and 1500 AD. So that game consisted of cards. There were 4 suits, similar to the tarot, numbered 1 through 10. Then there were also 4 court cards per suit, which were the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. And there were 22 picture cards or symbolic cards, which we would know as the major arcana now. So we would look at that as the minor arcana and the major arcana of the tarot that we use today. Now, the French word tarot didn't even come into play until 1500 AD. Before that, it was the Triumph deck. In 1781, that was the first time that it started to be used as an actual divination tool by occult followers. So they saw that it had a use. It wasn't just a game anymore. And so that's kind of the little bit of an overview of the history of tarot. So I'm also asked the question, do I have to be gifted my first tarot deck? And my answer to that always is no, you do not. Some people are. I was not gifted my first tarot deck. My first tarot deck, actually, I started learning how to use playing cards as a divination tool, which I guess would be my earliest form of using tarot. I didn't get my first tarot deck until probably closer to 16 years old. So I started using the regular playing deck to get yes and no answers from spirits on the other side. That's how I started. So I can say I started when I was 15. Excuse me, I'm kind of losing my voice today. So the next thing people ask me is, well, if I'm not gifted, where do I find tarot cards? Well, you can find them in shops. They sell them in shops. I purchase mine online, generally from Amazon. But I've also gone into shops and purchased mine as well. It just, how do you know if the deck is the right deck for you? I let them speak to me. When I first found the deck known as the Gilded Tarot that I use, I saw a picture of the Strength card and it just hit me. That's the deck. I love the deck. I love the artwork. I started looking at all the pictures that went in that deck and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the deck for me. And I got it, fell in love with it. But I've also been given some decks over the years and I just couldn't connect with them. I was given a Thoth deck and nope, can't use it. It doesn't work for me. I was given, what was the other one I was given? Oh, the Deviant Moon. Deviant Moon cannot resonate with that deck. So I don't use it. So I just give them away. If I get a deck given to me as a gift and it just doesn't work for me, the person that gives it to me generally says, if it's not yours, give it away. And so I do. But that's one of the ways that you can get you can get your cards. You can either order them, purchase them in a shop, or you can be gifted them. Another question I'm always asked, do I have to sleep with my deck of cards to get to know it? Well, you could. I never did myself. I don't like lumpy things under my pillow. So I've never slept with my deck of cards. But I know some people that do, and that's perfectly fine. So you might want to do that. That might be one of your rituals to get to know each deck that you get. Now, I have a lot of decks, okay? I have a lot of tarot decks, and I have at least 3 or 4 oracle decks. Now there's a difference between tarot and oracle. Tarot is very simple. You're not going to have full out stories with each card. Oracle cards do generally. Some oracle decks though, you just have no book at all, no meaning at all, and like this deck, this is called Soul Cards. I love this deck. You really have to channel it. It is not for a beginner generally. That is one you have to just work with your own psyche and see what it's saying to you. And basically it helps you to life guide someone's spirit. You know, they can come from the darkness, go into the light. It's very tricky. But I want to really focus on tarot. So tarot comes in different sizes as well. So we have our regular normal deck. It's still larger than a playing card deck. People are always having trouble shuffling it. I'm like, just do the best you can, touch them, move them around, get your energy in there, but don't worry about if you're perfect. You're not going to be playing at Harrah's with the tarot deck. But there's also the oversized deck. Now, I love this deck, but these cards are big in comparison to your regular tarot. I love them. This is the Syrian Starseed Tarot. It is an actual tarot deck, and it is still very similar to the Rider-Waite. Now, I suggest that if you're going to get your first deck, you get something either like the Rider-Waite, which is the original basic tarot. The pictures are easy to read. It's very simple to learn, and that is a good way to start. Or get a deck like the Gilded Tarot that is based on the Rider-Waite type of deck. So the other thing I want to suggest is that you get a deck that comes with both a book, okay, that will go along with your deck, because you need to learn how the cards, you know, what the cards mean. How are you going to read them if you don't know what each card means? Yeah, you do learn by the imagery, but you also need to learn what each one means, and then you need to learn the reverse meaning, but that's down the road. We'll get to that later. The other thing that will come in a deck with a book combo, generally, you're either going to get a spread like this that'll teach you the Celtic Cross or a similar spread. Also, your decks, even if all you got was a basic deck, you should get at least a couple of cards in it that will be the same size as the deck, but it'll have different spreads on it that you can use, okay? But we're not going to get into spreads right away. We're going to get into how do you actually read the cards to start with. But today we're just going to go over some basics on how to choose your deck, or does the deck choose you? And also, how do you store your cards? Well, I like these little velvet pouches. I purchased these on Amazon. But if I go into a shop, I might find different little bags. And I have enough decks that if I see a bag and I like it, I'll go, ooh, tarot bag, and I'll buy it. And I also have friends now that are making tarot bags, so there's lots of different ways. This is a pouch that I made, a leather pouch. And I don't normally use leather for tarot cards, but this is a native type pouch, and this is my Medicine Woman Tarot. So it kind of just fits, and so it goes together. And this is more of a difficult deck. I still periodically use it. I use it mostly for business questions. I have different decks that I pull out for different reasons, but that's my Medicine Woman deck. So it's kind of between using it as an oracle deck and a tarot deck. It kind of crosses in between. So I wouldn't say that would be a good deck for you for the beginning. Okay, you need something basic. The other thing you can get, I buy these little wooden boxes at Michael's or Joann's, and I paint them, and they work really good for storing my cards. That way I know they're not going to get wet. They're not going to get damaged because they're in a wooden box. but I put them in the pouch, then I put them in the box. That way, if there's any lacquer or anything in the box, it's not going to get on your cards. Okay? So that's a few things that I wanted to go over with you. The other question I get a lot is, if I sit down here and get a reading with you, am I going to be talking to the devil? Am I opening something up that's negative? And it's really hard for me not to laugh at people. It really is sometimes. And I will just tell them no, because for me, I channel my spirit guides and light beings or angels, and mine connect with my clients. So no, I'm not opening anything negative. I'm opening love and light, because that's how I do my readings. I can't say that everybody does it like that. Everybody's going to read the cards different. Everybody's going to do it differently. But I'm a channel. I am a medium. So that's how I do my job. And that's how I do my tarot. So that's one of those other questions that people ask me. Now, as we go on further in this series, because I want it to be a series to teach you how to read tarot, I want you to also start picking up some books, learning the meanings of the cards, because you still need to learn the meanings. When I get a deck, I like to go through it, but now I know all the meanings of all the cards. But for a beginner, when I tell somebody how to start, I tell them to pick a card a day. You can start in the beginning, or you can shuffle the deck, and whichever one comes out, that's the one you study for the day. Now, when you study it, you have to learn what it means. What is the number that goes with it? What is that numerology? You want to learn all about it. You want to learn what the image says to you. You want to know what the number means, because different things are associated with the different numbers. Number ones, the aces are beginnings, new starts, right? Twos, decision making. Do I do this? Do I do that? How do I do this? So each card represents something. And so I suggest that that's how you start. But we're going to get through that, into that further. But get yourself some books. If your deck doesn't come with a book, get a book. These two came with the Gilded and the Steampunk. I've also gotten this book years ago, and it's just the Tarot Handbook or Workbook. You can pick these up in any bookshop, bookstore. The interesting thing is, I buy my tarot now on Amazon, and they sell this Easy Tarot, and it comes with the Gilded Tarot deck. So I love the original book that comes with the Gilded Tarot, but this is a good book too. Nothing is going to hurt you to read. When I first started on my path, all I did was read. So it's important that you read books. Read it on tarot, read it to learn new things. But that's where we're going to start. Choose your deck, or let your deck choose you. You can be gifted the deck, or you can purchase the deck yourself. You can store your deck in a velvet pouch. You could wrap it up in a silk cloth. I used to do that. Then I would tie it with a ribbon. I'd always have a tarot cloth with me so I could lay out the spread. Use a wooden box. Multiple ways to do it. But you always have different decks. This one is the Healing Light Tarot. I haven't used it a whole lot. I recently got it a couple months ago. Haven't used it much. It's pretty. I just haven't worked with it very much. But, you know, when you get a deck like this, my Syrian Starseed Tarot, it's like they're so beautiful that, I mean, just look at that, the Six of Chalices. It's so pretty. But this is a really oversized deck, and it would be okay for your first deck, but it's going to be hard to shuffle it. And I like you to get to feel the cards. You're putting your energy in the cards. Now, some decks are hard to come by. This deck is the Wizard's Tarot. It's now out of print. Years ago, I had a house fire. I had like 30, 40 decks of cards, and they all were lost in the fire. I didn't even realize what I had. I went to replace some of them, and I couldn't even touch them with the price. Some of the decks I had were now worth around $5,000 to $10,000 each. They were so old, and they're out of print. Well, I can't begin to replace those. So you hold on to your decks. You respect the decks because it's a divination device. It's going to help you get confirmation about things. It's going to help you make decisions sometimes. It's going to help you look at the future. If I choose this way, what's the outcome? If I choose that way, what's the outcome? You're going to start by learning how to read for you, for yourself, before you read for others. So get used to the deck. Get the deck you love. Work with it. Look at the pictures. Get the feeling for it. And then next time we're going to start to learn how to read the tarot. But I just wanted to go over those with you so you get just an overview of what I want to touch on. Let you know what tarot is, what the history is, and now you can go out and choose your deck. You don't have to worry about waiting for somebody to give you one. So if you want a private reading, a personal reading, you can contact me through my website, willowlamachon.com. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. And until next time, be blessed.